Could it be? For me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the command post. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your commander-in-chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. So normally during the season, weekends, not my thing, but obviously we played on Thursday, so a little bit of extra time on my hands. And, you know, I'm always big on what are the guys saying after a loss. I'm big on the locker room. Where's their head at? Last year, you could see that guys checked out mentally. They weren't happy with the play calling. They knew that the coach was getting fired, and you could see that the guys just weren't locked in. They didn't care, right? Obviously, this locker room is different. This season is different, and this is the first time we've hit real adversity this season. We've lost 2 in a row. We haven't done that this season. That was a tough loss, primetime spot against the team that was leading in the division, an opportunity to get back into first place. A lot was on the line in that game. You leave it all out on the field, you feel like, and you don't get it done. What's the sense in the locker room? So, I thought some really good things were said in the locker room, man. This is a really good group. You already know. I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know. But I was really interested to hear some of the takes of the players, kind of where their head is, what they thought went wrong in the game, et cetera, et cetera. You're not going to get all of that stuff. A lot of times the default answer is, I haven't had a chance to take a look at the film yet, so I'll be able to give you a better, explanation and answer after I've watched the film, which is a good answer, right? Especially when you don't know. If you do have an idea or a sense, you can say it, but a lot of guys don't really want to tell you, even if they think they know what happened. They don't really want to tell you. It's not good for business. So I tell you, hey, I can give you a better, idea after I watch the film. By the time you talk to them the next time, you're not going to be asking them about the last game. You're going to be talking about the game that's coming up. So it's a way to get out of the answer, but truly this was a tough one. But I thought there were a number. So we heard from a bunch of guys in the locker room. Shout out to JP Finley. If you go over to his YouTube channel, you will see the locker room scrum. There was Terry McLaurin. Terry was pissed. Terry was pissed, visibly pissed. I haven't seen him that pissed off since last year's cardio comment. He was hot in the locker room, and he had every right to be. I'm going to talk about what Terry said here in a second. For those of you who aren't going to watch the video or don't care to, right? Or haven't watched it yet. But we heard from Terry McLaurin. We heard from Tyler Biotish, Andrew Wiley. We heard from Zack Ertz, who had some really interesting things to say. I think he summed up how Commanders fans feel in about a 1 to 2 sentence answer. I thought it was very apt. I was like, whoa, like you just encapsulated Commanders fans and the way they're reacting to this loss in 1 sentence, right? But that's how they feel in the locker room too, so to speak. But Mike Samer still, we heard from man, I can see his face. I can't think of his name. But Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu and a slew of other guys that spoke after this game. It's 20 minutes worth of locker room scrums. But I want to start with Terry, and then I want to talk about what Zack Ertz had to say, and then kind of give you a general feel of what was said in the locker room after the game, and then kind of move on after that. That's really what the basis of this particular video is about. Because you know what? Let me say this first, because I'm really disappointed in Commanders fans, and not because they're doing anything that I didn't expect. I told you right after the game, it's going to be woe is me, sky's falling, we suck again. Oh no, we suck again. All of that shit, right? As if this isn't the first year of a recalibration. Had we started this season off 4-7, would you be bitching about this loss? No, the expectations have changed. I get it, but still understand where we are. Never lose sight of where we are. Don't do that. Like, you don't enjoy the ride when you lose sight of where we are. That's why I've always tried to keep everything in perspective. My guy Derek B, me and him go back and forth all the time because I talk about expectations have changed, which they have. We expected to win that game on Thursday night, despite our quarterback being banged up, despite not having a bye yet, despite having a lot of guys on the injury report on a quick turnaround, knowing that, we weren't going to be, necessarily at our best, but we expected to win that game. No, we didn't go into that game, well, whatever happens, happens. No, we expected to go in there and win. and we didn't, and that's disappointing. But for fans to be talking about Jaden Daniels is trash and this, that, and the third, and this team is garbage, and like, what the hell are you talking about? Go sit your dumb ass down in the corner somewhere with that stupid shit. Like, some of these fans, man, I just don't know. Like, and I try not to get bent out of shape about them because those are the ignorant fans. I don't talk to those. Like, I don't have conversations with those fans. Those fans aren't in the mob. Those fans aren't, sub to my channel and are having active conversations with us. So I tend to not go out of my way to engage or even react to those types of fans, but it's still frustrating nonetheless. Because you don't think the players don't feel that, don't sense that, don't hear that. That's bullshit. These guys are busting their ass to help turn this shit around, and all you hear is, oh, we're still garbage, we're this, we're that. Jaden Daniels is trash, he's a fraud, he's this. Like, you can't be a real fan if that's how you feel. And I hate to pull that card because I hate when somebody says, oh, you don't watch ball or you don't know ball if you don't agree with their opinion. That's stupid. That's childish, and I don't engage in that well, right? But if that's your reaction after this man has played the way he's played and has had one of the greatest rookie seasons we've ever seen from a quarterback, and because he has one off game, like the Steelers game, he was off, but he was still on, right? This was the first one where he was just off. There was no on. He was just off in this game. You're really going to jump off the deep end? If that's the case, just jump off the deep end and don't come back. But anyway, I digress because I'm really preaching to a very small portion of this fan base, and I shouldn't even be dedicating any time to them. I even feel stupid for even doing that because I'm not really talking to any of y'all that are watching this video. I'm really not. But you probably know somebody that's doing that stupid shit. But anyway, I digress. Back to the reason why we're here. And I got a major announcement at the end of this show, so stay tuned for that as well. A big, big announcement. All right. So Terry McLaurin was pissed after this game. I mean, visibly pissed. Like I said, I haven't seen Terry this pissed off since the cardio game. I forgot who we played that day. I don't think it was the Bears game last year where he said he was running cardio. It was some other game a little bit later on in the season. But he was pissed. And they asked him, were the Eagles doing anything, special, different that you didn't expect that caused you not to get the ball? He's like, nah, they didn't do anything that we didn't see on film. They didn't do anything different. The ball just ain't come my way. And he left it at that. I said, oh, shit, Terry's pissed. I would be too. I was pissed. And I haven't watched the film yet, but I know what the film's going to tell me. Just like it always does. He was open. And this is the thing with Terry that I get upset about, because even if he's not open, find me 5 receivers in the league with a higher contested catch rate than Terry McLaurin. That's the thing. Like, I don't want to hear, hey, he ain't open. Unless he's getting double and triple teamed. Like, if it's one-on-one and, like, the safety's over the top shading to his side, but if it's a comeback, that safety's irrelevant, right? I don't give a shit if the guy's in his hip pocket. As long as you're not going to throw a pick, if there's a place where you could put that football where Terry has a chance and the defender doesn't, or at least give him a chance to fight for it, I want 17 getting the rock. There's just no excuse for me, personally, right? Because he catches damn near everything. He's a vacuum. So there's no excuse for him to have 2 targets in any game, ever. Unless they're putting, and Terry McLaurin doesn't demand the type of coverage that a Jamar Chase, a Justin Jefferson, or one of those type of receivers should demand. Like, unless you're treating him like he's a gunner, on the outside, and you putting 2 dudes on him at the snap at the line of scrimmage, he should be getting the football 6 to 10 times a game, minimum, target-wise. That was ridiculous. And he was pissed. He was pissed. And you could see it written all over his face. Terry is very loquacious. You normally get 5 to 7 minutes worth of answers from Terry. He was direct. They asked him about Quinyon Mitchell. He said, yeah, he's a real good young player, man. He's going to be good. That was it. Like, normally Terry gives you those 2, 3, 4, 5 sentence answers, paragraphs sometimes, right? He wasn't in the mood for that shit. I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. And I talked about this after the Steelers game. Jaden has to rewire his brain to understand the value of throwing the ball. I know I don't have to tell him about what 17 means and how he can help the offense. Like, if you're struggling on offense, the best thing you can do is get it to your best player. Like, to me, part of the reason you struggle is you're not getting it to your best player. That's how you struggle on offense. It's not rocket science. You don't get it to your best player, you struggle. If you look at our worst games offensively this season, with the exception of the Chicago game, all of our worst games offensively, Terry was not involved enough. I'm talking about this game and the Tampa game in particular. Those are the two games where the offense didn't look like the offense. Even the Bears game, the offense was fine, right? We made a bunch of mistakes, but the offense was fine and Terry had an impact. No other game did the offense look out of sync. We missed opportunities. We had penalties. You can find a bunch of those games. You can't find a game other than the Tampa game at the beginning of the season, which I throw that one out the window. First game of the season, first game for everybody, first game for Jaden. You expected it to look like that somewhat. Missed Terry on a deep ball for a touchdown. You expected that game to look a little off. This was the first one where the offense just looked completely out of sorts. I don't think it's a coincidence that you didn't get the ball to your best player. So, Zack Ertz, I thought, summed up the way this fan base has reacted to this loss, because in my mind, I already told you what I thought. I said, even if we lose this game, I don't expect to lose again the rest of the season. And Zack Ertz, who was back in Philadelphia, I think for the first time, he made it seem like it was the first time. Because he did play with the Arizona Cardinals, and they've been to Arizona. They were in Arizona, I think, last year, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't know if Zack Ertz was a part of that team at that point. But whatever the case may be, he talked about the emotions going through him pregame and all that stuff. But once the game started, he was good. But he said, and this is the quote that I think encapsulates Commanders fans. He said, when you have expectations the way that we do, one loss feels like 5, 2 losses feel like 15 in a row. I said, damn, ain't that the truth? Because that first loss against Pittsburgh, that shit hit like a ton of bricks. I told y'all last week, I must be all the way back in, because that one felt different than any other loss that I've felt and experienced as a fan in a very long time. That loss to Pittsburgh, I was like, man, shit, we should be 8-2 right now, man. Like, I was hurt. I was in my feelings. And that one felt like 5 losses, right? This one is 2 in a row. I'm not tripping about this one because in my mind, I can justify some of the behaviors that I saw on the field. I can justify why the offense looked somewhat out of sorts. I can justify why Jaden looked as bad as he did. Jaden can sit there and tell me, oh, the ribs are fine. They're not fine because you're getting them wrapped up after every possession. They're not fine, okay? They're good enough for you to play, but they're not good enough for you to be at your best. And then, for those of you who say, well, Dan Quinn said they're getting better every week. They are getting better every week when he's got a full week of recovery and treatment, right? When you've got a full 5-6 days of recovery to get you ready to play the next week. We all watch Quarterback. I shouldn't say that. Most of us watch the Netflix series Quarterback, and we watched Kirk Cousins dealing with a shoulder injury and ribs, I think a rib injury. Matter of fact, I think he was dealing with a rib injury that season. Might have been a rib or a back or whatever it was. But we saw what he had to do throughout the course of the week to prepare to play on Sunday, right? We saw that. And then I think there was a Thursday night game in there, and he was screwed because he didn't get the whole week that he normally gets of prep and recovery and rest and therapy and things like that. And so he had to gut it out on a Thursday on a short week. What do you think Jaden had to do? It's one thing to go play on a Sunday, then play on another Sunday and go through the week, get the treatment, do the recovery and the rehab and all the things you need to do to get yourself prepared to play. It's another thing to play on Sunday, and then 3 days later, you got to be ready to turn it up again because you play on Thursday. That's tough. And I don't think his ribs and his core responded well to that shortening of the week. And I don't think Cliff Kingsbury responded to not having as much time as he would have liked to implement some things to take on this Eagles team. But at the end of the day, we didn't play well enough. We can make all the excuses we want. We didn't play well enough. And you got to credit the Eagles. Jalen Carter is a problem. Reed Blankenship is a problem. They've got ballers on that side of the ball that made impactful plays. You got to give your credit. You got to give credit where credit is due. They're really good over there. Terry said, that's a good defense. Ertz said it. It was Ertz who said that's a really good defense that's going to be good for a long time. He knows Vic Fangio. He said Vic Fangio was his defensive coordinator one year when he was at Stanford. And so he knows what Vic is all about. We all know Vic Fangio's good. And they've kind of figured out that scheme. They're playing it well. And they're a defense that can be beaten, can be had, but you can't make mistakes. You can't have a drop pass. You can't miss an open receiver. We did those things in the game. You can't run backwards on second and inches and get tackled for a 1-yard loss, right? You can't do those things again. They don't need help. They're already good enough. And we did those things. So I felt Zack Ertz when he said one loss. When you got expectations, when we were trash, the loss is it was just another loss. Who cares? We lost again. Add it to the rest of the losses in the right-hand column. Just add another tally. But when you're good, when you have expectations, when you expect to win, one loss feels like 5. 2 feels like 15. When you lose 2 in a row, it feels like 15 losses in a row. I imagine that's what it feels like. If you're a Chiefs fan, you lose one game. Oh shit, we lost? What the hell? That feels like 5 losses. Imagine if the Kansas City Chiefs lose 2 in a row. Man, the sky's falling. What's wrong with the Chiefs? Everybody's going crazy. It's mass hysteria. That's what happens when you have expectations. Remember, the Eagles' sky was falling. Is Nick Sirianni going to get fired? All of that only off of a 2-game losing streak. The Eagles were 1-2. Matter of fact, the Eagles never made it to 2 losses. They lost 1 game. 1. And then they were 1-1. A game they should have won. And then they won on the road at New Orleans, and then they lost at Tampa, and they got beat up good going into their bye, and people were questioning, is Nick Sirianni going to get fired? That's what happens when there are expectations. They lost 1 game, and people were asking, is Nick Sirianni going to get fired? We lose 2 in a row, and people are losing their shit. It's okay. That's what happens when expectations are entered into the situation, right? But still act responsibly. Understand what this is. The Eagles have different expectations than us. Their window for the Super Bowl has been open for about 3 years now, right? They went in 22. They had 23, started 10-1, and now this year. Like, their window was open back in 2022. So their process is different than ours. We're just getting started. We want our 2024 to look like their 2022. That's what we're striving for. And we still can do that. A lot of football left. Guys like Frankie Louie and Bobby Wagner said as much. There's still a lot of football left, and they're not wrong. It's still a whole 6 games left for this team. And I expect to win each and every single one of them. So all you do is pick yourself up, you dust yourself off. Eckler, he spoke as well, And at the end of the day, this is a good football team. I've seen comments where people are talking about how bad this team is and, oh, we got throttled. Did you watch that game and really think that we got throttled? Because I didn't. I didn't feel that way. Frankie Louie was like, yo, we literally played good defense against Saquon Barkley for 3 quarters, and then he got off in the 4th quarter. We just got to finish. Bobby Wagner wanted no parts of any we were tired excuses. He didn't want that. We weren't tired. You just got to give them credit. We played outstanding defense for 3 quarters, and then the wheels fell off in the 4th quarter. Don't let anybody try to convince you otherwise. I've heard Eagles fans talking that shit about, oh, we scored 26 and we could have, yeah, whatever. You had 6 points with 12 minutes left in the 4th quarter. I ain't trying to hear none of that shit. I ain't trying to hear none of it. You had 6 points. For the first time since 2015, you didn't score a first half touchdown. That's a decade, bro. You haven't scored. You scored a touchdown in every first half of a game in a decade straight. You didn't do it on Thursday night, though. We was playing defense on that ass. You were 1 of 3 in the red zone. I ain't trying to hear none of that shit. The defense played its ass off till the fourth quarter, and the offense didn't do the defense any favors. Kept putting it right back on the field. Right back on the field. Throw a pick, right back on the field. You knew the dam was going to break. Eventually, you keep doing that shit. Offense didn't carry its weight. Or the defense might have held up the entire night. A lot of people questioning the fourth down decision. I'm not. And I don't think anybody in the locker room is either. You can't ask the coach and the team to be aggressive, and then when they be aggressive and it doesn't work, now you want to second guess. You can't have it both ways. That's why I love Dan Campbell's approach. This is who we are. This is who we're going to be. And if we lose that way, fine. We win more than we lose in being aggressive. But when it doesn't work, what you're not going to do is come at me and ask me 1,000,001 questions, because this is how we play. This is how we play. If the shit would have worked, oh, what a gutsy call by Dan Quinn. Get off my nutsack. Don't try to pat me on the back when the shit work and then want to ask me 1,000,001 questions when it don't. It was a 12-10 game. Did you really think we was going to win that game 13-12? If you do, raise your hand. If you did, raise your hand. You thought the Eagles were done scoring? Look, and with a questionable kicker, who knows what would have happened, right? I grant you that. I'll grant you that. With a questionable kicker, who knows what would have happened? But if we know, like, if I know, like I know, and you know, like you know damn well the Eagles weren't done scoring. They had just gotten into a rhythm. They had just scored their first touchdown of the game. They weren't done scoring. And it wasn't going to end up being, 13-12. And it wasn't going to end up being 16-15. You're going to win this game, you're going to need to get to 20. And I had already said in my head, first team to 20. With the way things were going, first team to 20 wins this game. And we were trying to beat them on the race to 20. Unfortunately, we didn't get it done. And that's just a lack of execution on our part. And a lot of the players said that. Look, Andrew Wiley was like, somebody asked him about, because it was one reporter in particular that, Sam Fortier, that was really trying to get somebody to say something crazy about Jaden's performance. He kept asking every player, what did you think about Jaden's performance? Like they're going to say, oh, he was trash tonight. Like, what the hell do you think about he's going to say? And Andrew Wiley was like, I don't know what you're trying to insinuate. Like, I don't know what you're trying to get at. I don't know what kind of answer you're looking for, essentially, is what he said. I like how he just dismissed his ass. Like, I don't really know what you're trying to get at. But, as an offensive line, we got to do our job better to allow him to do his job better. And we got to bring energy and juice to the entire team, not just the offense, but the entire team. When we get it going, when we fire off the ball, good shit happens in the run game, good shit happens in the pass game, and then overall, if that's happening, we're going to score points, and that spreads and is infectious throughout the entire roster and team. So I love the response of this team in the locker room, and we're going to bounce back. I think Terry said it's Dallas week, so you turn around, you get your bodies right, you get ready for Dallas, and, the media loves to do the whole, oh, y'all got winnable games coming up. That's a fan thing. Let the fans do that. The players one at a time. They went to Mike Sainristil with some, you had 2 tough opponents, 2 Super Bowl contending, opponents in a row. You lost to them. But now you got some, teams that you should be able to beat coming up, some not so good teams. And he's like, look, that's what you say, right? We know that we had an opportunity to win both of those games that we just lost. We didn't get it done. You go back to the drawing board and, you find a way to try to get it done the next time out. You say it's teams that can't, that aren't good. We just look at it as we got to worry about what we can control. Like, we can't worry about who the opponent is. If we do what we're supposed to do, and I've said this to you guys 1,000,000 times, if we just play our game and we take care of what we can control, I don't think there's a team in the league that can beat us. I'm not just saying that because I'm a fan of this team. The defense is improving, and when the offense is clicking, and you need everything to go the way that it's supposed to go, including Jaden's full 100% health, which we haven't seen since the Carolina game. But when all of those factors exist on the offensive side, we've seen we're capable of 40 in our sleep. And then you factor in that this defense is getting better. And Marshawn Lattimore is on the way at some point. I think we can beat anybody, but we got to play our game, and we haven't done that since the Carolina game. So now's the time to get back on track. We're getting the opportunity to do that against Dallas and then Tennessee one at a time. Dallas is still Dallas. It's a family affair. It's family business. They're not going to come in here and lie down for us. I want to stomp a mud hole in these boys. And I want to do it early. I don't even want this thing to be close early that gives them confidence. Let's see what they do on Sunday or on Monday night. And I love that they're playing on a short week, right? I want to see what they do against Houston, because if they're a lot more competitive against the Texans, we might get a more competitive Cowboys team. If they get their doors blown off in that game, that's great. Now they come in here, starting to feel like, woe is me. Here we go again. If we jump on them early, those boys are going to lay down. But I like our chances to destroy the Dallas Cowboys this upcoming week. But, I thought it was a really good response by the locker room. And I thought Zack Ertz's comments perfectly encapsulate how I think most Commanders fans feel. It feels like we lost 15 games in a row. It's just 2. That's it. It's just 2. But it feels like 15 because there's expectations. Terry was pissed. Real quick, I haven't mentioned this to y'all, but have you seen the Daron Payne mic'd up? It was pretty cool seeing Daron on the sidelines, having fun with his teammates. Tried to get him. He didn't, normally when a guy's mic'd up, he tells everybody, I'm the feds, so that everybody knows. He ain't telling nobody shit. He was trying to get him to say something crazy on camera. He said, I was trying to get y'all. They was like, you ain't shit for that. But you see the juice that DQ has on the sidelines. You see how he kept coming by, telling everybody, hey, let's get it. We got this. Let's, all effing day. This is what we built for all night. This is what we do. And so you see the energy, man. You see the life that he helps generate on the sidelines. I think that's the most intriguing part about these mic'd ups is not the person that's actually mic'd up and their personality and some of the other teammates, but just kind of the interactions that go on around them. I'm more so observant of that stuff. The coaches that, are constantly picking these players up, telling them, hey, y'all got this, or seeing the players. Who are the captains on these teams? Who are the guys that are consistently walking down the bench, dapping everybody up, getting, telling everybody, hey, we got this. Hey, next time we get out there, we're going to do this or that. Like, who are those guys consistently? And you see that as you watch these mic'd up. So if you haven't checked out Daron Payne mic'd up versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, that one's out. I think they drop them it feels like every Thursday now. They drop these mic'd ups. So be on the lookout for those. Daron Payne's, if you haven't checked it out, is up and running. So be interesting to see who they had mic'd up for this past game on Thursday against the Philadelphia Eagles. But I digress. I've already talked your head off enough. Major announcement. So if you haven't already seen it on one of my social media platforms, whether it's IG or X, I announced that the streets were talking. We heard y'all, and this is something that we've been kind of playing around with behind the scenes for a while now, and we finally got that final push to get us to do it. But the Commanders Kings have created a channel. That's right. Myself, Rico, Ed, Commanders Kings, full effect, channel on YouTube. Link is down in the description of this video. Also, I will pin that in the comment section at the very top. Just click that link. It'll take you straight to the page. Sub that channel up. We will be going live on that channel every week. Most weeks it's going to be Tuesday nights. All right. But if it's subject to change, we'll let you know in advance. But every Tuesday night, you will get content from us, the Commanders Kings, on that channel, exclusively on that channel. And there will be little, tidbits on the channel from each of us individually as well. So that channel is going to be something that you need to be checking constantly, because there will be things up there all the time, whether it's Ed by himself, Rico by himself, Rio by himself, me by myself, or all of us together, whether it's a short or it's something else. A lot of activity over on that channel. So check it out. Make sure you sub up and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. It's going to be lit. We are so excited to bring you this channel, and we can't think of a better time to launch it than Cowboys week, right? The biggest enemy of the Commanders is on the ledger this week. And so we got 2 losses in a row. We're ornery. We're pissed. And somebody's got to get this work. Nobody better than the Dallas Cowboys, if you ask me. So Commanders Kings coming at you live and in color this Tuesday. New channel for y'all to consume. Sub it up. Link is down in the description of this video, and I will pin it to the top of the comment section. Sub that channel up ASAP. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. The crown is heavy, but we wear it with ease. The Commander Kings are here to please. Y'all sub it up. Enjoy the rest of y'all weekend. I hope you did not watch that Mike Tyson, Jake Paul trash. I did not partake in that garbage. I heard that Netflix was having all types of issues and the fight itself was garbage. You should have known. The man is almost 60 years old. Those promoters are still eating off of this man. But he's eating too. He's taking advantage of them just like they're taking advantage of him. But nonetheless, I knew it was going to be a garbage product. And you can't convince me that anybody that fights Jake Paul is signing a contract that states, hey, you can't knock him out, right? I think he's a fraud and a fake and a phony. And so I wanted no parts of it. But if you took part in it, let me know what you thought about it. Anyway, I digress. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy this time off. I'm going to enjoy this weekend off. I can't speak for you. I am looking forward to no Commanders football. I'm looking forward to. I didn't realize how tired I was until I woke up on Friday morning and I was exhausted. And I was like, you know what? Which is why I didn't do a podcast. I said, you know what? I'm tired, boss. And I just was like, I'm just going to relax. And I'm thinking about this weekend. I'm like, man, this is nice. So you know what it is. Y'all enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
LouieTeeNetwork.